From Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown, this is Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com. TicketBash.com, where memories are made affordable and where you'll never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also presented by Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Sports Bash is brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Every customer is considered family at the Embassy Diner. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. By Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia since 1996. They are also available for charity auctions. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4000. Mention Sports Bash, get a free autograph photo. And later in the show, we'll tell you about the Living Legends item of the week. We're also brought to you by Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400 and tell him Sports Bash sent you. By the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org. And by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more info, call them at 516-509-8277. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a great Tuesday here on Long Island or anywhere you are watching Sports Bash. I'm Peter Schwartz. Phone number to call is 516-465-3990. Make sure you are subscribing to Govs Comedy Club podcasts on YouTube and Facebook so you can follow along with the show and chat. And if you don't want to call the show, we'd love to hear from you on the chat, so you can do that by following along on YouTube and Facebook. Exciting show today coming up on the program. A little bit later on, I'll be joined by Mets Hall of Famer Howard Johnson to talk about the big Juan Soto signing for the Mets, and Met fans all over the place, including Tony Walker, all pumped up about Juan Soto coming to the Mets, and I'm sure alumni is excited about it as well. Mike Piazza tweeted about it the other day. We'll get Hojo's response to that in just a few minutes. By the way, speaking of Howard Johnson, Tony Walker, when I told him that Howard Johnson was going to be on the show, he told me about this great Howard Johnson story. Did I interrupt your lunch again?
You don't interrupt me ever, Bob.
So you said you had a Howard Johnson story. You were very excited when I told you that Hojo was going to be on the show.
I don't know if he'll agree that it's a great story.
Okay.
1987, I'm outside Shea Stadium. Howard Johnson comes driving by after a game.
Did he spit at you like
Roger
McDowell spit at Kramer and Newman?
He should have. He should have spit at me. I was 17. I tell everybody when I tell this story, I was a stupid 17-year-old. I'm still stupid, just a lot older. But for reasons that I really can't even explain, I tried to jump on his car. I missed.
Oh, my God.
I missed his car. But
I am not bringing this up with him on the show.
But I'll tell you what happened. So my left arm hit his antenna, bent the antenna. He got out of the car right in the Shea Stadium parking lot. He got out. People started running photographs. He told people to stay away. He cursed at me, fixed the antenna, and drove off. A few months ago, this year, another guy that hosts a show in the studio wrote to him on Twitter and asked him if he remembers this story, and he wrote back, "Was that you?" And the guy said, "No, but I know who it was." And that's where the story ends.
I sincerely hope he is not watching the beginning of the show today, because that would definitely hurt the chances of this interview actually taking place.
I will offer to Venmo him if he wants. I mean, it's been 30-something years.
If I was him, I would have gotten out of that car and kicked your ass all over the Shea Stadium parking lot.
And he definitely...
Holy crap.
I deserved it. I totally deserve it. Absolutely.
What was wrong with you?
I was an idiot.
Oh my God!
That's my story.
And,
Sorry.
And I was listening to the Knock 'em Dead comedy show before, and Tony was doing. Look at that! Nice, autographed picture.
Yeah, I did not meet him for this. Somebody got that for me.
Wow, that's nice.
Otherwise, I would have told him the story.
He would probably do like a WWE and hit you over the head with it.
Again, well deserved.
I mean,
yeah.
oh my God.
Sorry, Peter.
I don't even know how to continue with the show. What was I even just talking about?
Juan Soto.
Well, no, I'm going to get to Juan Soto in
okay.
a second, but it had to do with Howard Johnson. Well, in any event, I don't care. I'm so like taken back by what you did.
Yes.
Wow. But Howard Johnson is going to be on the show today at 1:20. I'm going to keep him away. We're going to make sure Tony's mic and camera are not on for that. But holy crap! Wow. So 516-465-3990 is the number to call. We'll have Howard Johnson on the show. Vinny Tickets from Ticketbash.com is going to join us with the Juan Soto signing. There's obviously this huge demand for Mets tickets, so we'll talk to Vinny about that. We'll have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day and Living Legends item of the week. This segment of the show is presented by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert with your meal. So obviously, we know what the big story is, and that's Juan Soto going to the Mets. And I'm not usually the type of person that says, I told you so, but I told you so. I said it from day one that Juan Soto was going to sign with the team that gave him the most money. Period. End of story. Exclamation point. Underline it in bold italics. That's the way it was going to go. I knew it when the Yankees traded for him. I knew it throughout the season. I knew it during the playoffs. I knew it after the season when it was punctuated, when he said after Game 5 of the World Series that he was going to open it up to all the teams. And you know what? He was true to his word. I have no problem. And again, if you watch the show and you know me, you know I'm a huge Yankees fan. So does it hurt to lose Juan Soto? Yes, but I am not angry. This is not a John Tavares leaving the Islanders situation. At least Juan Soto was honest all the way through. He turned down a contract offer with Washington. They traded him to San Diego. Same thing happened here. He was going to get to free agency. He is a mercenary. He is a hired gun. He was going to take the best contract offer. And I got to tell you something. I have been on Hal Steinbrenner because I think he's a lot different than his dad. And I don't know if his father would have made a difference in this because Steve Cohen is spending silly FU money. And that's what it is. And God bless him if you could do it, because this is a great deal for the Mets. 100% the right thing to do. They have changed the perception of this franchise. Absolutely 100% the right thing for the Mets to do. I am stunned how far the Yankees went to try to bring him back. Stunned. I never thought in a million years they'd go that high. And as far as I'm concerned, I think the Yankees deserve a lot of credit for going that high. Now, if you believe all the stories that Boris went back to the Yankees to say, here's the offer, and they said, no, we're done, I probably believe all of that. Because there's just, at some point, you have to say, like, this is stupid. This is silly. Two different situations. The Mets, I mean, from the moment that Steve Cohen bought this team, his objective was to change the culture, change the perception of this franchise. They didn't want to be the same Mets who were nickel and diming. And they throw money at a free agent once in a while, whether it was, Johan Santana, or whether it was, I don't know, go back to Carlos Delgado, Pedro Martinez. Once in a while, the Mets would get the checkbook out and throw it around. And in this case, now Steve Cohen has said, you know what? The hell with everybody else. I've got the most money, and I'm going to go do what I want to do. And that's great. That's great for the Mets because it has signaled a brand new era. The fans are happy. They're going to go out and buy tickets. They're going to buy jerseys. And the Mets, who went to the NLCS this year, are a better baseball team now because they've added Juan Soto to their lineup. You had to do it. You had to. And if they went back to the Yankees and the Yankees matched it, well, they were going to go back to Steve Cohen and the offer was going to get upped again. So I have no problem whatsoever with the way that the Mets handled this and the way Juan Soto handled this. And I compared it to John Tavares leaving the Islanders. If you remember, and I did a poll question about this the other day, what hurts more if you're a Yankees-Islanders fan like me? What hurts more, Juan Soto leaving the Yankees or John Tavares leaving the Islanders? And it's clear that it was John Tavares because if you remember, John Tavares, every time he was asked about it, he kept saying, I want to be here. This is where I want to be. I was drafted here. I want to stay on Long Island. And then he goes and signs with the Maple Leafs. Juan Soto was 100% honest and upfront, and I have the utmost respect about that. He was, and that, listen, if you're at your job and you get offered a job somewhere else for more money, chances, you should probably take unless you're so comfortable at your job and it doesn't matter to you. Anybody would do the same thing. Anybody would do the same thing. I mean, if he really wanted to be a Yankee and the Yankees got that close, and if the difference was, well, the Mets were offering a suite and he would have had to buy a suite for the Yankees, I mean, how badly do you want to be a Yankee? Obviously, he didn't want to be a Yankee that bad because he took the most money, and that's fine. But it's a great move for the Mets. It signals a new era for the Mets. And now they have to focus now on bringing Pete Alonso back if that's what they want to do. They still have to go get some more pitching. But what a opening salvo the Mets fired at the baseball winter meetings on Sunday night. Now, if you're the Yankees, you now have $760 million that you were going to spend on Juan Soto for 16 years. Now, you have to go to Plan B. And what is Plan B if you're the Yankees and Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner and Aaron Boone? What is Plan B? To me, you got to get a first baseman. And the two options there are Pete Alonso, if the Mets don't bring him back, and Christian Walker. That, I think, is the first thing to have. And Yankees want to add another pitcher. They can go after Max Fried, Corbin Burns. Do they go get Cody Bellinger to play center field? There's a lot of different possibilities now for the Yankees. It is wide open for them. And listen, you'd love to have Juan Soto back, but now the Yankees have a chance to take that money and spread it out over 3 or 4 different players and build a team that might even be better than the team that went to the World Series this year. And if you read the reports, there's a sigh of relief in the Yankees baseball operations department because there are a lot of people in that front office that did not want the Yankees to bring Juan Soto back at that amount of money. And now he's not coming back. So I don't think this is gloom and doom for the Yankees. I think they have an opportunity here to go out and get 3 or 4 players. And the thing that I love the best that Brian Cashman said yesterday, that the smart thing now to do, and I hated Aaron Judge playing center field. I never liked it from day one. And not because he dropped the fly ball in Game 5. I just want him playing right field. And now it looks like they're going to move him back to right. And Jason Dominguez will probably start in left. Right now, Trent Grisham is penciled in as the center fielder. I think the Yankees have to upgrade there too. And I think that's where Cody Bellinger comes into play. So we'll see what happens. But unbelievable turn of events on Sunday. And let me close my Juan Soto rant with this. And I'm not, this is not a knock on the Mets, and I'm not trying to diss them, but Juan Soto is a New York Met for no other reason other than the fact that the Mets wrote the biggest check. I've heard the family thing, which I think it's a factor. I do think the Mets have set a family atmosphere in the organization with Steve and Alex Cohen. I do think that that's a factor. And I think the fact that the Mets are now good was a factor. But the ultimate reason why Juan Soto is a New York Met is because Steve Cohen wrote a check for what will amount to be, because he's going to opt out after 5 years and the money goes up. It will be $805 million over 15 years. Don't believe anything you hear at my other employer from some of the hosts that just are interested in clickbait. Oh, that he picked the Mets because they have a better future. He picked the Mets because of this. He picked the Mets because they wrote the biggest check. Now, if they wrote the biggest check and the Tampa Bay Rays matched them, I think he's playing for the Mets because they're better. If the Sacramento A's wrote the same check, he's picking the Mets. I think that's where it comes into play. But let's not just say he picked the Mets over the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Blue Jays because he liked the Mets' atmosphere better. He picked them because they wrote the biggest check. And that's fine. I'm not angry about that, and I don't think anybody should. But let's not dive into this any more than it has to be. Steve Cohen, mission accomplished. He said, doesn't matter what the money is, I'm going out and I'm getting the big fish. And they got him. And now we'll see where the Mets go from here. 516-465-3990 is the number to call. When we come back on Sports Bash, we're going to talk to one of the great players in the history of the New York Mets and a 1986 world champion and a member of the Mets Hall of Fame. Howard Johnson is going to join me when we come back right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer. You are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
In 1982, the Marty Lyons Foundation began with a single heartfelt mission: to bring moments of joy and hope to critically ill children by granting wishes that make their dreams come true. Since that day, we have touched the lives of over 8,500 families, raising over $43 million to grant wishes that offer a beacon of light in their darkest times. These precious wishes cost an average of $6,700 each, and your support is crucial to our mission. Every donation, big or small, makes a difference. And with 76 cents of every dollar going directly to supporting our families, you can rest assured your support truly changes lives. The Marty Lyons Foundation operates 11 chapters in 14 states now, working tirelessly to reach as many children as we can. This dedication goes hand in hand with our commitment to transparency and accountability, earning us top ratings on Charity Navigator, Great Nonprofits, and Candid, which underscores our dedication to those we serve. The Marty Lyons Foundation grants wishes to children ages 3 to 17. And what really makes this foundation so special is our willingness to grant not only a first wish, but also consider a second wish to a child who continues to battle a life-threatening illness. We stand by these children, offering them hope and strength through the power of dreams, giving our children the courage to wish for more.
What's your purpose in life? Is your purpose in life to live in the big house and drive the nice car? No. Your purpose in this life is to make it a little bit better for those that follow and realize that we live for today to see a better tomorrow.
Visit MartyLyonsFoundation.org to learn more and get involved.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. We'll get back to your phone calls later in the show, 516-465-3990. This segment of Sports Bash is presented by Ryan Anthony's heating and air conditioning service, keeping Long Island warm for over 18 years, serving their customers in Nassau and Suffolk with pride, honesty, and integrity. For more information, visit www.liboilers.com. Well, the Mets have made big news with the signing of Juan Soto, and on the Zoom line with us to talk about it is one of the great Mets of all time, a member of the 1986 Mets World Championship team, and last year inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame. Welcome to Sports Bash, Howard Johnson. Hojo, how are you?
Guys, how you doing? I'm doing good.
Doing great here on Long Island. As a Met alum, what were your initial thoughts when you heard the news that Juan Soto was signing with the Mets?
That's a lot of money. anything. I mean, gosh, anything north of 700 million is a lot of money. So that caught me off guard a little bit. I was a little surprised that the team felt that was a direction to go on one player for that long. I was a little surprised by it, but that's the market nowadays, and Steve is showing that he's going to try to create as talented a roster as he can create. And they're going to spend the money this year.
What was the biggest salary that you had when you played, and what would you be making right now?
I made $2.1 million, I think, my last good earning year, which back then was below market, but it was good. Nowadays, it's hard to say. I'd like to say, at least in the 15, maybe 10 to 15, 20, something like that. I don't know. It goes up like every year. It goes crazy.
It's unbelievable how the salaries have skyrocketed. But when you take the money aside and you just look at the fact that Juan Soto is now a New York Met, and you put him in the middle of that lineup, I imagine he'll hit second or third in that lineup, and coming off the season the Mets already had. I mean, what is it's kind of a silly question. I'll ask it anyway. But I mean, talk about the jolt that the additional Juan Soto gives to that Met lineup now.
Well, I think the first thing that jumps to mind really is the fact that it's great for the fan base, because there was a lot of fans clamoring for some kind of splash move this offseason. Last year was such a disappointment, I think, for most Met fans. Not getting those pitchers, that was a tough one. So I think you make a splash early in the game like this, it's a good thing for the fans. And it creates interest, and it creates buzz, and it creates momentum. So I do believe that when you create those things, that the team has something to feed off of the rest of the offseason, especially if they sign Pete, or they go out and get some more players, fill some more holes. Then you have to, be excited for it. But my biggest question is always going to be, next year is next year. Last year was last year. You cannot. It's hard to extrapolate one from the other. You play every year separate. They're not always going to be the same. Like, as good a player as Lindor is, and a great year as he had last year, he may not be able to repeat that next year. Who knows? And you have injuries, and you have other things going on. So I'm more of a whole roster type of guy. So I look at my roster, and I would say, okay, these are the pieces I have. What are my holes? What are my strengths? And then I would go about try to fill some of those holes up with some guys that have strengths. And that's, it may take more than one guy. That's my only concern.
Now that Soto is locked up and he's a New York Met, I assume their attention will now turn to, I think, the two things. Number one is starting pitching. I think the Mets would love to add another starting pitcher or two, see what's out there. But certainly, and you brought up Pete Alonso, and I kind of teased before as a Yankee fan, the Yankees need a first baseman, so I'd love to see Pete Alonso on the Yankees. But I think anybody would admit it would be hard to see Pete Alonso wearing any other uniform but that of a New York Met uniform. And I kind of think that the pendulum swung back in the direction of him coming back with the playoff that he had, getting that big home run against the Brewers, and the rest of his playoff run. I would be shocked at this point, given how eager Steve Cohen is to write those checks. He did it for Juan Soto. I would be stunned if he wasn't back with the Mets, Hojo.
It's probably the odds are probably with that, him coming back, but you got to be careful because Business guys don't work that way. They don't work on emotion. Not like we think, right? Fans, ball players, we're more emotionally driven. Like, yeah, the big home run in the playoffs, that was great for that period, but it doesn't. You have to still look at his whole body of work. And I think when you're looking at paying a guy 20, 25 million a year for 6, 7 years out, and he's not a young kid. Soto's only 20, 26.
Yeah.
So you got a big difference with that. So when you start stacking guys, Lindor's making 30, Soto's making 50. You're going to pay Alonso 20, 25 for the next 10 years on top of that. I mean, it's a possibility. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
to me, I always say look at your roster and really focus on your pitching staff and try to get as many starters. What you said in the beginning was spot on, except you can't have enough starting pitching. That's the thing. Rich Donnelly was a coach I was with when I was coaching with the Mariners, and he was the third base coach. And we used to talk all the time about building rosters and teams and what you need and what you can get. And a lot of teams get fooled into thinking, well, all I need is like 5, maybe 6. Quality, decent quality starters, but you need more like 7 to 10. You got to have guys stacked up in AAA if possible that can come up and help you for a stretch instead of, always going after the big fish. Try to make it up with some more of the smaller fish because you can make that happen now with guys going up and down. You can make a pitching rotation work very well.
We're talking to former Met great Howard Johnson here on Sports Bash as the Mets are celebrating the signing of Juan Soto. We're getting Hojo's reaction to that, but also wanted to kind of turn the clock back a little bit because the '86 Mets are so revered by this fan base, both fans that were around back then and even younger fans now that have a clear understanding of Mets history. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, how cool is it, how nice is it whenever you're around Met fans, or you have somebody come up to you and say, hey, thanks for '86. Thank you so much for those great memories. What does it mean to you when fans, and to this day it still happens. I mean, if you're around Citi Field, I know people come up to you and say this. So what does that mean for you that you made such an impact on this fan base back in 1986?
Well, I'll tell you what, it makes the years after playing much, much nicer when fans can, first of all, they remember your career. They can say nice things about your career. But when they look back on the team and say, hey, thanks for that year. And, that means a lot. I mean, that's what we have right now. We have one championship in the last 40-something years. So they got to be able to, think now, okay, how are we gonna create another championship? Well, that's the number one thing. And I always go back to our team being a very close team, a very chemistry-laden team. Our bench, second to none. You're never going to find a bench. When you had the starters that Davey put out there and you had the guys on the bench, myself, Kevin Mitchell, Tim Tuffle, when you have those bench guys there and you look at the careers they went on to have as shortly after that year, you're not going to find that in very many locker rooms. So that's what I look at. I look at the team as a whole. I'm grateful that people remember our group, but I guess when I look at baseball now, especially the Mets, I always look at the roster, look at a roster and see, okay, who's where, all this and that. How does it match up to the quantity of players that we had in those positions back then? Does the pitching staff deep enough? All those things come into play.
You wound up beating the Astros in the NLCS anyway, so it was a moot point. But had you guys lost that series, how badly would you want to have strangled Mike Scott for what he did to the baseball pitching to you?
It's crazy because we had a whole bucket of balls, and the story's been out there for a while. We had a whole bucket of baseballs that were all scuffed on the same side. I wish I would have grabbed like 5 of them, and kept them for perpetuity just to show people. But it was unbelievable. I forgot the umpire's name. Gosh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. But we showed him the balls, and he's just like, hey, nothing he's going to do about it. So it was clear they didn't care that, he was scuffing the ball. He didn't care. They didn't care. So obviously MLB didn't really care that much about it.
Mm-hmm. And the World Series against the Red Sox. I mean, even all these years later, it's such a huge reference point and topic of conversation because every game was it truly was like a chapter in a book. Every game was so different in its own way, and you get to Game 6 and you guys are down to your last out, and it just seemed like all hope was lost. And then that the magic started to happen. You guys start to chip away at it, and you wind up winning the game on the ball that goes through Buckner's leg. I know you've probably have told the story a million times, but I just your thoughts in that ninth inning as that was evolving, and was there ever a point where you just and I remember the scoreboard at Shea congratulated for a second the Red Sox for winning the World Series, and the game was still going on. But I'm just curious from your point. Did you lose hope at all? Was there any lost hope in that dugout there in the ninth inning?
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. And I've told this story a few times when I'm out speaking or talking to people. But Gary Carter was, to me, he was the spark that ignited that whole bonfire, because in that final inning, he was going to be the third hitter of the inning. So he was going by, he was grabbing guys by the shirt, pulling them up close and getting in their face and just, looking, I'm not going to be the last out of this World Series. He just kept saying it over and over again. Either trying to convince us or trying to convince himself. I don't know. But he got himself worked up. He got some guys kind of worked up a little bit. And sure enough, 1 out, then 2 outs. And when things aren't looking good, I remember I was standing next to Dykstra and I said, Lenny, it can't end this way. I just don't believe it's going to be over. And sure enough, kid goes up there and he fights off, I don't know, like 20 pitches or something. He fouled off like strike 3, like 10 or 12 times. It was amazing. Finally gets a base hit to left field, and we're thinking, holy shit, this could actually happen. And, then Mitch comes off the bench, boom, base hit. Okay. Now all of a sudden tying runs are on base. Knight comes up there, gets his base hit, fists one off, run comes in, Mitchell goes to third base, and the Red Sox were panicking a little bit, changing pitchers, and just, you could see things where the wheels were spinning over there. And sure enough, that wild pitch, it got by Gedman. It didn't hit Mookie for some reason. I can't believe it. I was on deck.
Divine intervention.
Yeah, I was on deck watching this thing happen. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And the ball goes by, Mitch is going to score without even a play, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So all the pressure is wiped off now. It's all on them, and we all believe we're going to win this game. And so when Mookie hits that ball up first baseline, I'm just kind of crouching down, watching him, getting prepared to hit, and I see the ball go by Buckner's under his legs like that. And I'm thinking, oh my, I jumped up in the air, threw the bat straight up. Came down and might have hit somebody. I hope not in the head. I hope not. But it can't, just craziness ensued, at home plate. So
you're the answer to a great trivia question, because you were the on-deck batter when Mookie Wilson was up.
Yep, I was the on-deck batter, and I was ready to hit. But I just couldn't believe it happened. It happened so quickly. That's the thing. So it was more like a forest fire than anything. It just, kids started it, got that base hit, and then things started happening. And then, momentum is gosh, man, I wish I could figure it out, but all I know is if you do things correctly long enough and get a break here or there, okay, things happen in a game, any sport, you can create momentum off of that. All it takes is one side believing more than the other, and it's for some reason, baseball gods are looking down on us.
No question about it. I have a question on YouTube from a good listener and viewer of the show and a friend of mine, Glenn from Flushing, and he wants to know, who inspired you to be a switch hitter? When did you start doing it?
Good question. So my dad is the one who made that happen. I was a kid, and my dad said I used to throw left-handed. I'm a natural left-handed hitter, so that's my natural side. But he said I used to throw lefty when I was real small, but he kind of changed that, and so now I threw right-handed. I used to ask him, I go, well, why'd you do that? And he goes, well, if you throw right-handed, you could play any position on the field. I was like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And then I asked him, I go, what about switch hitting? He goes, well, if you're a switch hitter, the ball is always breaking into you. So you're going to have an advantage no matter who you're facing. So my dad did that when I was very, very little, and it was something that we worked on constantly. I had success at it all through Little League and right up into professional baseball. And even though my right side numbers were never on par with my left side, 1987. I wish I had the numbers. I don't have them on the wall here, but no. I wish I had my numbers in front of me from '87. My right-handed.
My producer Tony is looking it up right now.
My splits right-handed, hitting right-handed in '87 were freaking off the charts, man. And that was the last really big year I had that year, hitting right-handed. But ever since then, I've had confidence. I worked at it. Davey, when he said I was going to be his guy in '87, I was already a hard worker, but I just doubled down on everything. I knew how Whitey Herzog was going to pitch me. I knew they were going to, make me hit right-handed when the game was on the line. They weren't just going to serve, Todd Worrell up there every time. So I was up. So I had to work on my game so that when push came to shove, rubber met the road, I had to be ready to hit from the right side.
So you made so much news when you became a 30-30 guy, 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. What did you think of Ohtani becoming a 50-50 guy this year?
I think it's incredible what he's able to do. 50 steals is still 50, but I'm more impressed with the 50 homers and the 50 steals, and I'll tell you why, because the rules nowadays favor the base runner like ridiculous amount, way more than what it used to be, right? And pitchers always had a little bit of advantage, on the mound because you could step off, you could hold, you could do a lot of different things. The third to first, even though nobody really got picked on it, so I had to respect it. But guys had good moves and they worked on it. When they changed the rule where pitchers can't disengage more than twice, that changed the whole ball game. Because now if you're a base runner, pitchers are going to throw over one time at some point early on. And if they can't get you or think you're going then really the green light goes on because they can't really risk something happening. And pitchers are always taught, hey, forget about the base runner, get the hitter. So that mindset right there, really just took off. So stealing bases is a little easier, I think, now than it used to be, or a lot easier. But I don't want to take anything away from him. That's a huge accomplishment, and physically, what you have to go through to be able to do that is impressive.
I started the interview by introducing you as a member of the Mets Hall of Fame, and I think when you attach that, adjective to anybody, it means so much. And I know for you, it meant a lot to be inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame, not this past season, but the season before. I was there with my family. It was a great class that went in. It was you. It was Al Leiter. It was Howie Rose. It was Gary Cohen. And also Jay Horwitz got an award that day for Lifetime Achievement. Take me back to that day. What did that mean to you to be inducted into the Mets Hall of Fame?
Well, it was an unbelievable honor, and excited that my whole family was there to be able to witness that. And after so many years, my dad was on the field with me and my wife, which was great. He presented me with the plaque, and just to be with him during that period, because I know, everybody's got a story, but my dad used to throw to me for hours every day, hit me ground balls, pitch to me, work with me. We used to look at Baseball Digest, Sporting News, you name it. Any advantage we could get, to play baseball at a high level. And we just kept working, man. And he taught me the value of that. And just to have him there to be a part of it up close was cool. But it was an unbelievable day, and I'll never forget it. This was
Absolutely awesome to catch up with you and talk Mets baseball with you. And I'm sure there's so much excitement around the team now, whether, you just want to consider Juan Soto or what the Mets are going to do the rest of the offseason. Yeah. I'm sure you're going to make your way up to New York a lot from home in Florida to see the Mets a lot this year.
I'm going to be up there in January when they do the Mets Fan Fest.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting up there and seeing everybody, and definitely being at Citi Field a couple times this year, I would imagine. So I'm looking forward to that. And, I'm pulling for the team. I hope things work out for them. I hope they get what they want as far as players. They can fill the holes they need to fill and just be ready, because, last year the team snuck up on people a little bit, and now it's going to be different. So They're going to rebuild that rotation and grab some more offensive players. And it's going to be a good group next year, I think, going in.
Hojo, it was great to meet you at the Thurman Munson Award evening, and thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Pleasure, guys. Thank you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff.
Yes.
I hope you get whatever you want. I hope Santa brings it.
Yeah, well, as a Yankee fan, I'm still waiting for them to start their shopping list, so we'll see what happens with that. We'll see what happens.
So who's on your list?
Well, they need a first baseman, so I think it's either, Christian Walker or Pete Alonso.
Wow.
What do you think?
Can you imagine them getting Alonso? That would be unbelievable.
Yeah, I think he'd hit great at Yankee Stadium. Wouldn't you think, like with the short porch and he hits the other way?
Anybody could be great at Yankee Stadium. Sandbox. Kidding me?
I'm Max Fried. I'd like another pitcher, maybe. We'll say. I'm kind of like, I'm selfish. I want everybody.
Man, I'm telling you, oh God, if they got, I'm here. I'm with you on that. But if they got Alonso, watch out. That's going to create some stuff going on in New York.
Yeah,
that's good though. It's good for baseball.
Cody Bellinger to play center field. You know what? If they're out there, let's write the check and go get them.
Why not? Why not?
There you go. Hojo, thank you so much.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks. Howard Johnson, former Met, Hall of Famer. Tony, you're clapping. That was a wonderful, wonderful interview, and it was great to catch up with Hojo, and hopefully we'll do it again later on somewhere down the road. All right, when we come back, more on the Mets from a ticket perspective. We do expect to hear from Vinny Tickets from ticketbash.com. We'll talk about the demand for Mets tickets. We'll have the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. We'll have the Living Legends item of the week. Whole bunch of good stuff still coming up right after this on Sports Bash. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Hi.
Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles is the best place to find autographed entertainment and sports memorabilia. We guarantee the authenticity of each and every item in our shop to provide you with quality collectibles anytime you browse our inventory. Our memorabilia includes autographed photos, sports equipment, jerseys, hats, and other paraphernalia from current athletes and legendary sports stars. If you prefer the entertainment industry, we have signed posters, albums, and photographs from classic movie stars and today's celebrities. To give back to our community, we participate in fundraising auctions for local charities. Call us today to request a specific autograph, find a special gift for someone else, or schedule an event. Living Legends Memorabilia and Collectibles.
Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by ticketbash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. I'm Peter Schwartz. Phone number to call is 516-465-3990. Many thanks to Howard Johnson, the former Mets great, for joining us. What a wonderful 20 minutes or so we had with Hojo, talking about the signing of Juan Soto, going down a little trip down memory lane with the 86 Mets, and and thanks to Glenn from Flushing for sending along the question about switch hitting. That was, we've done a lot of interviews on this show going back a year ago, August, when we launched the show, The Old Place, and we've had some great guests on the show, great interviews. That to me, I'd have to go back and listen, and maybe I need to clear my memory bank a little bit, but that's a top 5 interview. I think that was a top 5 interview that we've ever had on the show just now with Howard Johnson. He was great. And Tony, I know you appreciate, as a Met fan, forget about jumping on his car, but that was pretty cool, right?
I've always been a huge fan. I always liked his approach. Of course, I liked his numbers. But when as a big Yankee fan, I'm sure you agree that when you watch a team as closely as you do, you feel like you don't just see them at bat. You see them on the bench. You see
Yeah.
what you can tell from watching so closely how they are as a teammate. And Howard Johnson always just seemed to me, him and Mookie and Carter, they always just seem to have the right attitude,
Yep.
positive influences, not just on the field but in the clubhouse. So that was and he's always. I thought he was a great coach as well for Seattle and the Mets. So,
and that's what I meant to. You know what? I'm an idiot because I meant to ask him because he was a coach for a while.
Yeah.
And I meant to ask him, and if he's still watching the show, maybe he is still down in Florida. I meant to ask him if he misses being involved in baseball day to day.
Well, that's the thing. If you remember when he was 50 years old, he attempted to come back.
Yeah.
And it didn't work out for him, but it's still just an interesting story. That was one of those interviews you could have probably done the whole hour with him.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
it would have been phenomenal.
Well,
the
you know
whole
what?
way,
When
yeah.
he comes in for FanFest, maybe we can send a car for him.
Now you're
and
talking.
bring him out here.
I'll drive out there.
You'll go jet.
I'll go get him.
I think he'll kick the crap out of you because remember you jumped on his car.
Well, maybe he can get me back and destroy my car.
Yeah, well, there you go. We'll see what happens. We're waiting on Vinny tickets from Ticketbash.com. He might be in the middle of selling some Mets tickets. So maybe that's why he hasn't dialed in yet. But obviously, they make the deal on Sunday night, and on target, on cue. The Mets announced on Monday, 10 o'clock. Tickets went on sale. Single game tickets for the 2025 season. And as we talk about that, this segment of Sports Bash is presented by Ticketbash.com, where you'll never pay a service fee. And if you missed out on the first day of Met tickets, and I'm sure opening day was probably sold out. I'm sure the Yankee games were very well sold. I'm sure those are gone. I'm sure now when I say gone, and this is the thing that Vinny always tells me with the secondary market, a game is never really sold out. Yes, excuse me. Still trying to shake whatever this is. But a game is never really sold out. Now, they may be sold out as far as like regular standard tickets, but you can always get your tickets at Ticketbash.com. And I'm sure if you head to the website right now, you can find a whole bunch of great seats for Met games for the 2025 season. So that's something to look forward to. And also, Billy Joel. And if you listen to the old show, we had Art Stapleton on from NJ.com, who's a Giants beat writer. And we had him on over the summer to talk about Giants training camp. And if you remember on that show, we came back from the break with a Billy Joel song. And he said, oh, it's great that you played that Billy Joel song. And he said, by the way, hearing these rumblings that Billy Joel's going to come to MetLife Stadium. I'm like, whoa, that's great. Now, you've seen Billy Joel do all these, stadium concerts where he brings in another act, whether it was Rod Stewart, whether it was Sting, or whether it was Stevie Nicks, or, I think there might have been one or two other artists that he's done these shows with. And I'm thinking, that'd be great if, like, Billy Joel and Sting come to MetLife Stadium, where Billy Joel and Rod Stewart is great. And then I'm at work the other day at FAN, and I get the alert on my phone. And August 8th, MetLife Stadium, it's Billy Joel with Stevie Nicks. And I'm not a huge Stevie Nicks fan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Tony just looked at me like I had 18 heads. I had enough with Boomer and Gio the other day, ripping me for not being a fan of Stevie Nicks. Now, I like Fleetwood Mac. I just don't care for Stevie Nicks by herself. So, as much as I would love to schlep out to that horrible football stadium, MetLife Stadium, to go see Billy Joel, I think I may take a pass on that and put the full court press on my sources for New Year's Eve at UBS Arena, or perhaps some other area show, maybe Mohegan Sun. I'd like to go see him at. That could. By the way, I forgot the exact date, but Billy Joel is going to be at Mohegan Sun. I think it's in February. I want to say it's in February. The night before, Mike Del Giudice, our friend who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, Mike Del Giudice is going to be in the Wolves Den inside Mohegan Sun. So you could catch Mike Del Giudice solo the night before, which I think is a Friday. And then Saturday, Billy Joel is at the Mohegan Sun Arena, which is I've never been to the arena, but obviously Mohegan Sun is a phenomenal complex there. Great hotel, great casino. Tony is looking that up, right?
I'm Yeah, I'm trying to find the date that he's going to be there.
Yeah, I think it's in February, but I could be wrong on that. Let me get to
Saturday, February 22nd.
Saturday, February 22nd. So Friday, February 21st is when Mike Del Giudice is going to be at the Wolves Den in Mohegan Sun. So that's a great weekend if you're a Billy Joel, Mike Del Giudice fan. It is time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, presented by Living Legends, Memorabilia, and Collectibles in Rockville Center, Long Island's go-to store for sports, entertainment, and political memorabilia. Since 1996, they are also available for charity auctions. Give Warren a call at 516-826-4000. Mention Sports Bash, get a free autographed photo. This question today is for you, the Mets fan, watching and listening. What do you want most for a holiday gift this holiday season? And you have two choices: a Juan Soto jersey or Mets tickets. What would you rather have, Tony? The jersey or the tickets?
Tickets.
Tickets. You know who to call. Call Vinny.
That's right. I will.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the two choices: Juan Soto jersey, Mets tickets. I posted the question earlier today. So let's see what the early voting is on that. 56% to 44% for the Mets tickets over the Juan Soto jersey. Yeah. And by the way, let me go back to yesterday. If you're a Yankees and Islanders fan, which player leaving hurt more? And I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the show. And John Tavares, 76%, Juan Soto, 24%. So that was yesterday's question. Speaking of living legends, it's time for the Living Legends item of the week. Excuse me. The Living Legends item of the week is this Aaron Judge certified autographed official Major League Baseball. It is a beautiful item. Give Warren a call over there at Living Legends at 516-826-4000 and get some more information. There's the ball, and there is the certificate of authenticity. Tony's zooming in on the ball a little bit. He's zooming in on the ball. That's a really nice ball. Nice signature, nice clean Aaron Judge signature on that ball. So if you want more information, you can reach out to Warren at Living Legends. Before we tell you about Thursday's show, I brought in some props with me. Went with my son Jared to the JP card show in Plainview on Sunday. And yeah, I'm just a overgrown child when it comes to cards and stuff like this. Now, I can't tell you how many of these cards, this specific card, I have in my Islanders card book at home. I must have like 10 of these. It's the 1980-81 Dennis Potvin Topps Islander card. Now, Tony, which camera should I put it up at? Right in front of me?
Right in front of you.
Right in front of me. Now, zoom in on this. Because Topps did this the 1 year, and they never did it again after that. So if you look at it, this is a scratch-off lottery ticket before there were scratch-off lottery tickets. So it is the Topps cards, and if you notice, the name is covered up with a little scratch-off thing on it. And you had to try to guess who the player was. Now, if you look on the back of the card, it did not give you the player's name on the back of the card. It just says, on October 14th, 1978, he set mark for scoring the fastest 3 goals by a defenseman. So there is no name on the back. Like Michael Kay always jokes, the name on the back of the baseball card, right? So there's the front with the name covered up, and there's the back with no name. I love those cards that year, and I did not have, because I was a kid. What do I know? I scratched it off. I never, left all the cards I had from that year. So I saw this at the show on Sunday, so I had to have that, and I got a good deal on that. I wanted to show a couple other things. First of all, in my collection, I have not had a Jalen Brunson card yet. So I picked up this Jalen Brunson card, which I'm very happy to have. It's not a thin card either. It's a thick one. It's a Panini Jalen Brunson card. So I enjoyed getting that one the other day too. Now to baseball. If your team, Tony, threw a no-hitter and they lost the game, do you remember it? Would you celebrate it?
So, yeah, I would celebrate it.
You would celebrate? Okay, yes. So Andy Hawkins July 1st, 1990.
Wow.
I never saw this before, and I have a zillion baseball cards. But they celebrated his no-hitter, and the Yankees lost the game to the Chicago White Sox because Jim Leyritz dropped a fly ball in left field. The game was scoreless into the ninth inning,
Right.
Into the bottom of the eighth inning, and then Andy Hawkins was credited at the time. I think it's been taken away now. I don't think it's still considered a no-hitter anymore. But Andy Hawkins on July 1st, 1990, at the old Comiskey Park, a no-hitter, but the Yankees lost the game. Let me quickly get to football, too, because I want to know we're running out of time, and I got places to be, things to do, and people to see. There's one guy at those shows who's got this table full of cards, and they're big books of cards, and he's got like 1973 Topps football or 1980 Topps hockey. So I was on a mission, 1973 Topps football to add to my Jets collection. So I've got some 1973 Jets Topps cards. Now, I hold this one up for a number of reasons. John Schmidt, who was the center on the Jets Super Bowl III team in 1968/69. Now, if you notice, the card says center. He was the Jets center. But what is he doing in the picture? Tony, what's interesting about... He's got two hands on the ball, which means back then, if you were the center, you were also the long snapper. Right. So I had never seen that card before. And of course, if you follow along and you follow my transparent way of doing a talk show, you know that my son Bradley is a long snapper and just finished his freshman year at Western Connecticut State. Now, that's how my mind works. There were 3 John Schmidt cards in the book. I bought all 3.
Oh, wow.
They were only 50 cents each. Right. I don't know if John should be insulted by that. He's been on the show before, went to Hofstra, and he's very, very upset when they got rid of football at Hofstra. But I bought the 3 cards. I knew I wanted one. I sent a picture of it immediately to Bradley. He goes, I hope that's for me. I'm like, it's okay. I got 3 of them. One is for you. And John makes a lot of appearances for the Marty Lyons Foundation, so I think I'm going to give one to our good friend Kenny Zor, who was a bigwig at the Marty Lyons Foundation and the official charity of Sports Bash. And here's another, 3 other good ones. I want to share all 3 of them. I'm just going to be silly with 3 minutes to go on the show. You don't have to zoom in that close, Tony, but here's Don Maynard, Jets Hall of Famer. I got that card there also. Winston Hill, also a Jets Hall of Famer from 1973. And how about John Riggins? Look at that afro. This, if you want to hold it up a little closer here.
Come
right there. This way. There you go. Look at that afro. You know, I used to have an afro like that, believe it or not, when I was a kid. Yeah, I used to have an afro like that. If my mom's watching, she'll remember when I had that big, giant Oscar Gamble.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Afro.
Oscar Gamble.
Oscar Gamble.
And I'm happy to not have it anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? It's hard if you have an afro. If you have an afro like that, it's kind of hard to get a hat that fits you.
Yeah, true.
I could never have, and I got a bunch of other Yankee cards here, but we can go over that another day. I want to tell everybody about Thursday's show. Wonderful show lined up on Thursday. With God's help, I'll have my complete voice back by Thursday, so I'm not a complete embarrassment. But coming up on Thursday's show, I'm going to be joined in studio here. Former Jets cornerback Bobby Jackson is going to be in studio Friday night on ESPN. They're going to debut the 30 for 30 on the Jets Sack Exchange. So Bobby Jackson, who was a defensive back, cornerback on that Jets team back in the late 70s, early 80s, he's going to join us in studio. We'll go down memory lane about the Jets back then and what kind of an impact the Sack Exchange had on not just, the Jets and their fan base, but also on the entire National Football League. So we'll talk to Bobby, catch up with him in studio on Thursday, also on Thursday's show. And I'm really looking forward to this. And this is no offense to Bobby. Can't wait to talk to Bojack in studio. But I'm also looking forward to on Zoom talking to legendary Islanders Hall of Fame broadcaster Jiggs McDonald. He's going to join us on the show on Thursday. He's joined us on the show from time to time on my Islanders podcast as well, my Double Chili Islanders podcast. We're going to have him on Thursday, get his thoughts on the current Islanders, but also January 18th, Brent Sutter is going into the Islanders Hall of Fame. And Jiggs called all of Brent Sutter's games when he was a New York Islander. So we will talk. And there's a picture of me and Jiggs And I will tell you that picture was taken in 2015. He filled in for Howie Rose. This is the last game that Jiggs McDonald, before they moved to Barclays Center and then ultimately came back, this would have been the first time around, the last game that Jiggs McDonald broadcast at Nassau Coliseum. I went to that game, knew that it was going to be his last game. We took that great picture. He has been a friend for a long time. I'll embarrass him on the show Thursday, because I always do when I have him on. But when you think about reasons why you get into this business, and there are people who inspire you to be on, to be a sportscaster, he was one of them. I knew before I met him and before I started following hockey that I wanted to be a sportscaster. But once I started following the Islanders closely and then he became their broadcaster, he became one of my favorites instantly. And you talk about having a chance to meet someone that you just absolutely adore. And I got a chance to meet him as a fan at the Coliseum so many times, and then became friendly when I started covering the team after college. And it's always an honor to have him on any of the shows that I've done. So we'll have that on the show on Thursday. Looking forward to talking to Jiggs McDonald. We'll also play Stump the Wiz. We'll check out This Week in Sports History. A week from today, the first installment of what we are initially calling FOP, which stands for Friends of Peter. Amy McGorry from News 12 will be here in studio for the entire hour. We'll have a lot of laughs. I've known Amy for a long time. She's a friend of the family. She actually conducted, and we'll talk about this on the show next Tuesday, she actually conducted the first interview with my son Bradley. Bradley was playing in a charity baseball game, and News 12 came to cover and do a preview of it. And she, as I recall, and he's been interviewed a couple other times, but she was the first person to interview Bradley. So we'll have Amy, we'll go down memory lane with that, and we'll catch up with her and see what she's up to these days. It'll be a nice, fun hour here on the show. That'll be next Tuesday. That'll do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating and Air Conditioning Service. Also, thanks to Tony Walker, my good friend to my right, for spinning the dials, running the show. Thank you so much, Tony, and everyone here at Governor's Comedy Club in Levittown. Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com and Ryan Anthony's Heating Service. We're also sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, by Living Legends Memorabilia, by Bearcat Building Service, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks to Howard Johnson for joining us on the show. I can't believe I forgot to say that. Thank you to Howard Johnson, former Mets legend. What a great interview that was back earlier in the show. We're back Thursday at 1 o'clock. Have a great day, everyone.